somewhere to define the API for our web using RESTful web services. We have to follow some rules. But if we all follow the same rules, have the same ideas of how to create it, it will be more easy for other people to use our interface. So we have to do that. So the resource-based architecture, that's the idea about the RESTful. So we have people, movies, castings, whatever we are. So that's the resources we are working with, and the idea here. So the RESTful web service is also working with a very simplified version of the world, but most of the time that's fine because that's actually how. So we have relationship, but they are nested. So if a person participate in a number of movies, that will be some nested information on that person, or on the casting. The casting have information about the person that are casted to this specific movie, and so on. So the URLs or the resource locator are pointing to the resources. So we are pointing directly to persons, to movies, to castings, to cars, to whatever we are giving access to. And then if we want to fine-tune the query, we are using query strings if we don't have data elements. So if we want to, one thing could be that we want to define in the query that we want the output to be in XML, for instance. Then we'll have the resource, a pointer to a resource that could be persons, and then a format query string saying the format equal XML, for instance. So we want to get it out in XML format. So we will see that, for instance, if we want to say, we want to do pagination, so we want to say, okay, I only want to have 25 elements at the time. That's another thing. You should never, ever make a web service that just return all the items. Nobody can use that for anything. So the web service will always use some kind of paging system. So you can say, okay, I want the first page, the next page, and the next page, and then you can probably also define the size of the page within some limitations. Because it doesn't make sense to return 1 billion elements to the user, because first of all it takes forever to get them, and nobody can do anything about that much data. At least not if we are talking about a web service used to produce web pages. So the RESTful is a representational state transfer. So it's actually a PhD thesis made by Roy Fielding some years ago. So he came up with this idea of, instead of thinking about external, this RPC kind of thing, instead of thinking about it as procedures, then think about it as resources. And these are some of the. There's a number of things you have to do in order to be pure RESTful web service. But some of the interesting parts are we want to do a separation between the client and the server. So it should be any direct dependencies between them. The server requests are stateless. So if you ask for something, the server doesn't save any state. So there's no state at all. It doesn't know that you are asking for the same question 10 milliseconds later, because it doesn't know. No state. It's just provide you with the information that you are asking for. You can do some catching on the backend instead of go down to the database and catch the data every time somebody asks about it. You can cache that part in the backend. Say, okay, I already have these 25 elements in my cache, so instead of querying the database again, I'll just provide that so it'll be faster from the server point of view. You'll use less resources. So we'll talk about that next time also, how to do that. But this is the most important. You need to have a uniform interface. By uniform interface, if you have one URL to get persons, and you also provide movies, then what you should do should have completely the same URL to get movies as persons. Should be the same idea. The only thing you have to change is that's the persons or the movies. So it should be the same. So when you know how to get persons on your web service, it should be easy to move to another resource because you should use the same idea, the same interface, because otherwise it will be very difficult for the user if it needs to dig into every single resource. But if you follow a specific pattern on all the resources, then it will be very easy to know. So you only need to know that there are persons and movies and castings and so on, and then if you know that, you will be able to access the data by just intuitively follow the idea. When you have solved the problem for one of the resources, you have solved the problem for all the resources. That's the idea of having a uniform interface. So some of the problems with REST is if you should be real REST, then it's a little bit difficult, and the community is split about the dogma of REST. So should you do all the parts that are defined in about RESTful web services, or could you just do some of them? That's always a problem when you have, this specification of stuff. It's like doing Scrum or extreme programming or whatever. Can you do Scrum without having the morning meeting every day?
No. No,
not if you want to do a real Scrum. But then like something that called ScrumBot came around. So we are doing Scrum, but not something. And that's the same extreme programming. Do you need to do everything? Do you need to do pair programming in order to call yourself somebody that use extreme programming? Depends. There's no right answer for that. Yeah?
Login sessions, RESTful?
Login sessions, so what do you mean?
You log in, you get a unique key,
yeah.
And then the server remembers that key and you use it from now on.
Yeah, so you think about the session, but the server will not remember you. You will get a key, and you have to pass that key across the wire every time you ask a question.
Yeah, is that RESTful?
No, it's not RESTful. It's do you think? Do you ask?
I mean, it's not stateless, is it?
No, it's not stateless in the sense of, but RESTful. The idea of RESTful was in the definition of that didn't take anything about security into consideration and stuff like that. So in order to make secure access to data, you need to have some idea of. So it depends on how you define, because from the server point of view, it doesn't need to know that you have been there before. Because when you are logged into the system, what is done is that you create a tag or a token that you send to the client, and every time the client get back, you have to validate that token against the database. So the RESTful service doesn't need to have a state as such, because it's just stored in the database. So it's the definition question. So I understand the question, but you can do it within the RESTful because this RESTful server as such doesn't save a state about you. Doesn't need to do that. It would just be something that you have in the database. So from the backend point of view, doesn't need to know anything about that. Of course, the backend needs to check if your token is valid and blah 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 blah. That's but yeah, I understand the question, and yeah, it's on the edge of what the so the Mr. Fielding didn't think about when he added all the rules. He didn't think about security at that time. So we can say that it's a kind of state. It knows who you are because it's part of your tag or the token. Yeah. But the idea here is more that you don't have a session in the sense of a session. So you don't have a session that says that I know who you are, so I know already what to do. So you have to ask the complete question every time. So there's no in the interface. There's nothing about you in the interface that you asked the same question 10 seconds ago. So I know that I know what page you got last time. So if you ask for the next page, I can just provide it to you. You not save states like that. But of course, yeah, good question, because it's on the edge of what was the idea of RESTful web services. Is it an answer to the question?
Sure.
Yeah. And also, I think that most of the web services you will find out there will not be using the complete dogma of REST, because that's a number of things. You can look it up. I will not go through that now because it's not important here. But if you want, you just look it up on Wikipedia, see what are all the things you have to comply to in order to be a real RESTful. But that's, the community is discussing this. So you have over here say, you have to do the all, and over here say, you can do RESTful without everything, so on. So it's important to be pragmatic to get the job done, but of course follow the idea. So one of the ideas was to get rid of the verbs in the definition of the interface. So this is the verb-based. So that's the procedure idea. Get customers, save customers, and the problem with that is this. There's a never-ending story. So get customers by name, get customers by contract, blah blah blah. So you can just add a lot of be very complicated to have a huge number of methods you have to define in order to provide an interface. So that was one of the problems that we addressed. So instead of that,